Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. And welcome back, my friends, to Secret Origins Month. Last year, we saw the story of Black Widow, or rather how she started off as a villain against Iron Man. So here's our recurring theme of 2016's Secret Origins Month. I have no information on why this character was created. Seriously, yet again, I'm having trouble finding an interview, a text explanation in a book, just anything about the influences of the creators, about why they wanted the character to happen. So far, Doctor Strange was the most plentiful, and all I really had there was, we wanted a character who didn't get his powers from radiation. At best, the only thing I missed was that his appearance may have been drawn from Vincent Price, something that many people commented on. But I can't find an actual source to back that up, so I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know, maybe I'm looking in the wrong places for info, but my Google foo has failed me a lot over the last few weeks, so I feel I'm not providing as much background information about this stuff as you might be interested in. Still, there is a comic to review, so enjoy that at least. Last year, we saw the origin of Black Widow, who was not the hero most know her as today, but a femme fatale villain of Iron Man, a spy sent by the USSR who, after being narrowly defeated by Tony Stark and enemy-turned-ally Professor Vanko, she fled, since her failure would likely mean the end of her life. However, in the intervening time, she has returned to attack again. So let's dig into Tales of Suspense number 57 and see how Black Widow ended up with another mainstay of the Marvel Universe, Hawkeye.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a party hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
The cover is kind of meh, with just Iron Man in the middle of things, surrounded by multiple Hawkeyes. We think Hawkeye is so terrific, we plastered him all over our cover. Nice cover story, but we already know that you just jumped the gun on the Hawkeye clone saga. How can one man with a strange bow and arrow harm old Shellhead? Well, clearly you don't know how much words can hurt, narrator. Watch the sparks fly when handsome Hawkeye teams up with the Black Widow. Hawkeye keeps overloading her electronics. We open with Iron Man rescuing a man from having molten steel poured on him by accident. Look out, fella! You're not allowed to take hot showers on company time! And now that I've rescued you, you're fired! We haven't begun a story with Iron Man saving someone's life lately, so let's do it now! Stan Lee's greatest cameo yet as Tony Stark's public relations manager. After this wonderful display of workplace safety at Stark Industries, Happy Hogan goes up to Iron Man. Since this was the era when Tony tried to keep his identity secret by claiming Iron Man was his bodyguard, Happy asks Iron Man to try to have Tony set him up on a date with Pepper Potts. Later, while Tony takes off the armor, he wonders why he's feeling so jealous about the idea. I don't dare get serious about her. A man like me, whose life depends on a transistor-powered chest device keeping his injured heart beating, can't very well allow romance to enter his life.
There is logic in what he says.
Seems like a pretty dumb reason not to ask her out yourself, Tony. Not that that really stops him. See, when he approaches her to ask her something about a date, she of course assumes he's asking her out. Wait, let me explain! What's there to explain? You asked me for a date, and I say yes. Now let's see, what will I wear? But I was speaking for Happy. Happy hour, that is. We're going to the bar. After a dejected Happy Hogan walks away, we cut to later that night, where the two are walking through Coney Island. Once there, a carnival barker attracts people to take a look at Hawkeye, the wonder of the age. Not to belittle the skill and work necessary for archery, but does it really qualify as a wonder? I'm just saying, we usually reserve that definition for, like, King Kong, not a dude who can shoot a bow and arrow. Apparently the audience is equally unimpressed. Big deal, so he hit the target. What a crummy act. It'd be much more impressive if he missed. Actually, maybe they're just not impressed because the target is like 3 feet away from him. Come on, get that bum off the stage and bring on the dancing girls. They're way better archers than this guy. One of the rides starts going haywire, spinning out of control. Tony slips away from Pepper as the thing continues to accelerate, quickly snapping apart. Fortunately, Tony had a briefcase suit handy and manages to slowly bring the thing to a halt and let it down to the ground before anyone could get hurt. However, people watching the rescue wonder how he got there so fast. I know. I'll tell Pepper I went to find Iron Man. I'll say he had orders to follow us to Coney Island. No, baby, it's okay. I ordered him to stalk us without you knowing. However, Hawkeye is not happy about what he's seen. I'm the greatest marksman the world has ever known, and yet they ignore me. Screw those people in danger. Pay attention to me. Hawkeye figures he can do all the things Iron Man can. All it takes are a lot of mechanical gimmicks and a colorful costume disguise. Unfortunately, his first idea was then Mechana-Clown. Later, he's in his basement workshop, welding things and putting metal stuff together. I'll make myself a costume that no one will ever be able to forget. Well, he was correct that nobody ever forgot Captain Exposed Genitals. He's put together not only his outfit, but a bunch of specially designed arrows. He actually manages to throw all of this together over the course of a single day, according to the captions. So at least he can't claim the guy is lazy. And thus he finishes it off with a mask. So let Iron Man and every other costumed adventurer look to his laurels. Hawkeye, superhero gardener. Although I possess no powers other than my unfailing accuracy at target shooting, I can do whatever others can do by means of my arrows. I love how he's talking out loud about this as if we were watching his promotional tape. Hawkeye is available for appearances at your next corporate function for low, low prices. In any event, he demonstrates the skill with which he made his equipment by using a swing line arrow to get over to a rooftop. Below, he sees opportunity before him in the form of a jewel thief running off with a sack of money. He manages to pin the guy to a power line pole, but the guy manages to get away from it, presumably by ripping his jacket. It's not really clear. That's what I get for taking pains not to injure him. I knew I should have followed the advice of that sniper guy from Team Fortress 2. Not so smart with your brains outside your head! The thief dropped the sack of jewels, and he decides to inspect them real quick. However, the result of not pursuing is that some arriving cops think that he was the one who robbed the store. Figuring that they never believe him to be innocent, he makes a run for it, which unfortunately only convinces them more that that's the case. In his panicked state, he probably doesn't think to try to use his arrows to get away, but instead, Night of the Extreme Coincidences continues by a car pulling up, the driver realizing that this costumed guy might be exactly what they need. They invite him into the car to drive off. As fate would have it, Hawkeye sees one of the most beautiful women in the world. Unfortunately, he sees her having dinner in a restaurant. Instead, the guy who picked him up was really quite hideous. No, it turns out the woman who picked him up is actually the Black Widow. Lady, whoever you are, don't pinch me. This is one dream I don't ever want to wake up from. I assure you, my costumed friend, this is no dream. Which is why it's so weird that you have no pants. Black Widow takes him to a subterranean laboratory, and Hawkeye is sadly very taken with her. The lab was provided by the Soviets for her to continue her operations, so much for her life being at risk, but maybe that was explained in the intervening issues. She claims the lab belongs to the person she rents the house from. Oh yeah, underground labs are one of the perks of rental houses. Why do you think Dr. Linksano was so happy when we moved out of the old place? She says the lab can help produce new weapons for him, especially since she wants him to take out Iron Man. And given how jealous he was of Iron Man, it's not surprising that Hawkeye accepts. However, she says no harm can come to Tony Stark. So, she's got a crush on Stark, eh? Well, I'll put a stop to that. Stark is mine! Speaking of Tony Stark and his romantic life, he realizes he really screwed the pooch with Pepper and decides to ask her out again on a proper date. But Happy Hogan gets there first, asking her out to a drive-in movie. And since she's still pissed about being seemingly abandoned at Coney Island by Tony, she happily accepts. Meanwhile, Hawkeye uses his equipment to sneak into a supply truck driving to Stark Industries. Hi, Charlie! See the big game on TV last night? Poor Dope still thinks Space Jam was real. Just humor him. Once inside, Hawkeye gets to work attracting Iron Man's attention by blowing up some locked doors with his explosive arrowheads. Once Iron Man is out in the open, Hawkeye fires some arrows at him that contain some kind of chemical that instantly rusts up the metal of the armor, stiffening it and making it harder to move. After evading some more arrows, he starts discarding pieces of it, fortunately hiding other suits in part of the building for occasions like this. After all, he is Tony Stark. When you're that rich, you just have backup suits all over the place instead of fire extinguishers. However, Hawkeye locates some of the discarded armor pieces. I'll bring them to my lab and analyze them. The man who learns all the secrets of Iron Man's armor could become one of the world's most powerful men. Only a carnival performer could be a science major. I mean, I can buy that he can craft his own trick arrows and basic equipment, but he really understands enough about mechanical engineering and electrical science to figure out how the armor works. But whatever, Hawkeye flees with the armor pieces as Iron Man, in fresh armor, flies in pursuit. He attacks the getaway car, forcing it off the road. After an exchange of fire, Iron Man settles things by knocking an unconscious Hawkeye into the water. He drags him back just as the Black Widow arrives in another getaway car. Not seeing her, Iron Man heads to the crashed car to get the stolen armor pieces, but Hawkeye comes too, figuring he can take Iron Man out while his back is turned. I'll use my most potent arrow of all, the Demolition Blast arrowhead which the Black Widow helped me to assemble. You know, in retrospect, it is kind of weird that she's named after something that kills and eats its mate. That's probably nothing. Bombs away! However, the armor is strong enough to withstand even that blast. It does stun Iron Man, but the blast is redirected right in Black Widow's direction, knocking her out. Hawkeye runs to her and takes her to a nearby boat, hoping to get her to a doctor. She has to live! She has to be mine! She's the only one I've ever loved! Nothing says true love quite like, can you murder this guy for me? Iron Man comes to, but can't see who the Black Widow is amidst some incoming fog at the dock. Well, I'd better take off after them. No, I can't! I almost forgot! I'm at the edge of LaGuardia Airport. Oh, jeez, what happened last night that brought me here? That's it, I'm locking up the armor before I have my breakfast martini. Fearing that he'd be a menace to the airplanes if he tried to fly after them, although I don't know why he can't just fly low, Iron Man abandons the chase. Back at the factory, he figures Pepper and Happy must still be on their date, and he has nothing else he can do but wait for morning. I know what I do. I still got plenty of Pokemon Sun and Moon to play. And so our comic ends with Tony walking on a beach. Thus, one of the wealthiest men in the world slowly trudges through the sand outside his world-famous weapons factory, not daring to confess his love to the girl he cares for. Yeah, poor Tony. All he has to comfort himself with are his billions of dollars and his weapons factory, not knowing when the mechanical chest device he wears will fail, ending his life in an instant. Okay, that's a bit more sad, but he's still a billionaire and could probably call some people about that. Anyway, this comic is pretty good. It's funny looking at this now so many decades later. While Hawkeye may have acted a bit altruistic in this story by trying to stop the jewel thief, he was motivated purely by a selfish desire for fame and glory, so you would never expect that he'd legitimately become a hero or even one of the most recurring members of the Avengers, with half a dozen other heroic identities. Him having a bit of an inferiority complex would be a recurring thing for the character, which helps feed into that aforementioned multiple identities thing. On the subject of him turning into a good guy, it wouldn't take very long, joining the Avengers within within a year, though it would take a bit longer for Black Widow to redeem herself, with Hawkeye holding a torch for her for a while. Next time, we conclude Secret Origins month for this year with the first appearance of the very first superhero team. Nothing more I can do now except wait for morning. Well, better get to work. These iron nipples aren't gonna polish themselves.